We going live. It's about to count down. Get ready. Preparation. We're going to start with introductions. We're going live on YouTube. All right, welcome to the 108th episode of the 100 Proof Show from home with yours truly, Jay Wesley. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, I am forced, as many other major outlets are forced to report from home. Tonight's topic is going to be cocktails and corporate social responsibility. And we are doing some technical difficulties because I'm hearing myself. Alrighty. Tonight's topic is going to be cocktails and corporate social responsibility. I'm not sure how to.
You want to turn down the volume on your YouTube.
Just not seeing. I think so. What I'm gonna end up, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna have to just record. I'm recording it on Zoom. I'm just gonna have to edit this one later and repost it. But we're gonna go ahead and go on, keep moving for the sake of time. Because I think I shut my YouTube down just now. No, we're still live actually. So technical difficulties. That's what happens when you become a one-man bandit, as they call it in journalism. You have to shoot, you have to produce, you have to edit, you have to just do it all. So once again, I apologize. This is the 108th episode of the 100 Proof Show. For those of you that don't know what the 100 Proof Show is all about, is to empower and educate consumers on their beverage choices. So we take real life issues and overlay them into the spirits industry. For example, we may discuss, what would you do if you see your pastor in the liquor store buying liquor? What would you do if you see your pastor in the nightclub drinking liquor at the bar? What would you do if a drunken relative who reeked of alcohol wanted to go to church with you on a Sunday morning? Do you go up front where you normally sit? Do you go and sit in the back or the balcony? Or do you tell him maybe next weekend when he cleans up? Do you drink in front of your children? Is it okay to drink in front of your children? So that's an example of us taking a sociological perspective of alcohol, nightlife, and CBD to help you understand the taboos, the do's and the don'ts, the written and the unwritten, the spoken and the unspoken when it comes to drinking. As I mentioned earlier, tonight's topic is, should liquor companies have a corporate social responsibility to address the unrest that's taking place in America? The unrest of the injustices of police, the unrest of inequalities that's in disparities that happen more so with people of brown skin. So here with me today is a longtime legend in the spirits industry. He's I call him a rogue. He's a rogue legend. Corey Brim. Corey, tell the people a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Hey, Jay Wesley, man. First, I want to thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak. I own a company called Sugar Rim Bar. I'm always repping my brand every day. We are a mobile event company. We've been around for over 10 years. And before COVID happened, we were averaging anywhere from 10, 15, sometimes 20 events a week, based in the DC metro area. And then we branched out and started doing events in other cities too.
All right. Well, that's what's I'm definitely proud of you. You have definitely been a model for me to use as I've been growing my mobile bartending business here in Atlanta, Georgia. But let's jump right into the conversation. The cities around the United States of America are hosting rallies, marches, demonstrations. Should the liquor industry, liquor manufacturers, and we can name some of them by name, Diageo's, the Brown and Forman's, the Pinard Ricard, should they have more of a stance and presence as these rallies takes place?
Yeah, so one of the things that I kind of was saying was like you see these multi-billion dollar, not million, multi-billion dollar companies. They're in our communities every Friday night, right? They're in the nightclubs. They're essentially earning money from events and partying. So why not hold them accountable when it comes to giving back? Or at least helping. I've seen, in the bartender groups and stuff, I've seen them pull together to talk about giving away money or helping. But even that, like, you try to wrap your mind around how do you help every bartender? You know what I mean? Like, how do you set aside money to give someone a stimulus check for every bartender? I mean, I couldn't even imagine doing that. But at some point, you got to hold them accountable. They get. But I say that on all fronts. They can't just take the money from you and then in a time of need can't be there for you, right?
Right. So, Corey, I must say you looking fresh and clean, because I was looking at some posts of yours a few days ago. You was looking kind of rugged, bro.
Dude, man, let me tell you, man. We had a client that hired us today. I did a virtual happy hour today, and it was about 2 hours ago. But
right.
prior to that virtual happy hour, I went 8 weeks without shaving, nothing, man. I'm talking about I look like right now you're looking at 2019. Early I look like 2020.
Right. No, I definitely get it. So let me say this, is that it's my belief that a lot of bartenders and people in the spirits industry, and we're going to stick to bartenders, are afraid to really speak candidly about race relations and injustices in the Black community. And we can just start within just the liquor industry itself. For example, Black bars do not get as much promotions and incentives and education as white bars do. And however, that's just one injustice within our own community. Before we even go to the outside, let's just stick to that. But there's a lot of bartenders that are afraid to speak to a racial disparity, just as I've mentioned, as far as education, promotions, more so given in white bars than Black bars. What's your thoughts on that, Corey?
I don't know, man. I think in general, I think our industry, just to even start off, let's start from the point where this wasn't even happening, right? If you went to another bartender, you asked them, how to make a drink. We already have this like wall up where we, not all of us, but we always had this wall up where we didn't want to give anybody any information. We don't want to let anybody in on our secrets. So we were already dealing with that, right? You're already dealing with that. And then I kind of liken it to, so imagine that you're a bartender, right? And you're working at this well-established establishment. You're making tons of money every night. You know, you're the whatever manager or brand ambassador or regional whatever you are, right? But you might be the only Black person who is that, right? So think of it like almost like an NFL player that's making millions of dollars. If they go out and speak out against, like if the organization says one thing and you speak out against that, you don't have a contract no more. They're not bringing you back. You know what I mean? So I think
you become a Kaepernick. That's the Kaepernick story.
yeah, you're outed. So I think a lot of people don't want to speak out for fear of retribution, where they're going to lose their jobs. Now, someone like me and you know, like we were saying, you know, I don't have any liquor sponsors. I don't have anybody writing my check. I don't have anybody, like every event that I've done, I've closed those deals. You know what I'm saying? Like we did it as a team. We closed it as a team. So I don't have anybody like I'm not contracted with some major liquor brand where like the roof over my head is like they're writing that check. They don't write that check. I write my own check. So that could have a little something to do with it too.
So I mean, is that right or is it wrong? Like, you know, because ultimately you're being silenced by money, you know, and try to give them the benefit of the doubt. They could say that they're working their way to be insiders, to change things, to get on the good side of those corporate people, giving them the benefit of the doubt. Could that be a possibility?
Possibly. But one thing I've always said is that we have enough people and enough places and enough resources that we could pull our stuff together and we could create our own. You know, we could have our own bars. We could have our own liquor distributions. Is it going to make millions of dollars? No, but like everybody had to start somewhere, you know? And like you were saying, like Jack Daniels didn't just start off, well, you know, he stole the recipe, but he didn't start off as Jack Daniels. You know what I mean? Like everybody had a beginning. I just think that, you know, we're at that point now where a lot of people are they're comfortable. They're comfortable, you know?
And speaking of starting your own, our sponsor tonight is Bum Made Vodka. It's a Black-owned vodka with a lemonade twist to it. I love it. I drink it straight. And they are right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Corey, what are you sipping on tonight?
Well, for the virtual cocktail that we had earlier, I made 2 drinks, and one of them was a bourbon mule. It's a Kentucky mule.
All right.
So it got a little couple of garnishes that they wanted a pineapple, so I gave them a pineapple. They wanted some extra garnishes on there.
I love it. And so, you know, you mentioned starting your own. There are Black liquor manufacturers popping up. Just tell me your thoughts, because I know you've been a big advocate of the Black Spirits Festival that takes place every year in DC. I think they're approaching maybe their 5th year.
Yeah.
At this point, you've been with them day one. So what is your thoughts of creating our own, since you've mentioned it?
It's a great thing, right? So when you're there and you get to experience it, you get to see it. It's great to have everybody in the room. It's great to network with everybody. It's great to have that energy in the room. But again, one of the things that happened is kind of like the Million Man March, man. We come together, you know, we lock arms, we sing Kumbaya, but then after the event, you know, we don't really lay that foundational work to create the relationships to grow healthy. You know, are the bartenders really connecting with the brands? Are the brands really reaching back to connect with the bartenders? You know, just in my experience, it hasn't been that lucrative for me. So, you know, just before we were doing this, just to show you, you see this?
What is that? Packets? Literature?
No, business cards, brother.
Business cards, gotcha.
Business cards of people that I've been trying to connect with, sending emails to.
Right.
And but that's part of it. That's part of the grind and the hustle and the grit is reaching out to those people and trying to make that connection. But I think, I don't know if it's in our DNA, but that crab in the barrel mentality, you know, you're reaching out to people, they're not calling you back, or they say, hey, we're going to do this and do that, and it never sort of comes to fruition. I don't know what it is about us, man.
Well, to give them benefit of doubt, the most that I can see, because I get a lot of that as well, a big part of it is the fact that a lot of these companies are running on skeleton crews. They are stretched thin. they're having to, make the product, whether they're making it from their home or even just having to run through the distillery, the distribution process. A lot of them starting out distributing it from the trunk of their cars or just running around to liquor stores or bars, getting it sold, taking orders. And so they don't have a whole lot of time to market and really build the relationship because they're pounding the pavement. So part of that I understand, and Black businesses, period, across the board, especially in this industry, you don't get a lot of loans or equity to help build your business out so that you can forecast out 3, 6, 9 months ahead. A lot of these businesses are really working in one day at a time, meaning a dollar in is a dollar right back out the back door.
Yeah.
And so they're chasing just $1 at a time because it's not a whole lot of cash flow. So part of me, I get it. It's a hard business to start your own liquor brand as this couple has did here. But keeping to the subject tonight, are liquor manufacturers responsible to respond, to activate, to support the disparities that's happening in America today?
Yes. Look, if you have certain, there are certain brands out there where when you look at their, when they send you over the sheet, the breakdown of their whole demographic, 80% of their clientele is Black. Like that's their demographic. They are in the hood. You know what I mean? They're right there in the hood. So they're making money off of the Black community. But when you look at their give back, where's their give back? And we've had, like I said, I've known you for years, right? So when you talk to these people and you ask them, like, you simply just ask them a question, like, so show me your diversity. You're making money off the backs in the communities of the black community, but where's your diversity council? Where's your, when I look up their ends, I see us buying your drinks, but I don't see anybody in the marketing department. I don't see anybody at the board office. I don't see meetings. I don't see us being represented at that. So our money is okay to take, but what about representing us on the other side?
Right, exactly. And you mentioned a key point, which I've brought up for a long time now. They don't hire us in those executive roles majority of the time. You may have 1 out of 10, or if you have 10%, I doubt that there's 10% Black executives in these corporate boardrooms. The most they may do is hire someone lower level, front line, as an ambassador, maybe as a regional or marketing person, but it's usually just very kind of hand-picked in a sense. But how do we change that, Corey?
That's the $1 million question. So we can write a book on that, right? How do we change that? So what I'll tell you the sort of the road that I took. So the road that I took was, so here I was out there reaching out to everybody, trying to connect with everybody, olive branch, right? Going to everybody, say, hey, let's work together. Going to these brands, hey, if you ever need anything. Was never about any money, right? It was never about any money. And then what I noticed was just, when nobody was reciprocating that, when I didn't get that back, I was like, okay, well, I guess I just got to build my own thing from the ground up. So what I did was I started my own company. I hired people that look like me, and I'm talking about in every level, right? So like so it started with me. I was the bartender, right? But when I hired the chef was Black. When I hired the DJ, he was Black. I have tables and chairs and I got to deliver those to you. The delivery guy is Black. The guy that was setting it up, he was Black. 90% of my company, probably more than that, is Black. So because I knew that coming in, my average event wasn't like other companies. There are other companies out there that they're doing the same event that I do, and they're making 3 to 4 times as much as me, right? So I had to get in, and I had to work, and I had to grind and hustle and come in on the bottom and work my way up.
And man, you have done an amazing job. I'm proud of you. Um, but I tell consumers all the time that alcohol ultimately is broken down into three categories: wine, beer, and spirits. And studies show, Nielsen reports show that for spirits, blacks are the number one consumer
Oh,
of spirits.
right, right.
However, we don't
Drinking
necessarily
beer.
say that again.
We're not drinking beer. No.
Right, exactly. And we're not drinking wine so much like that either. Maybe some Moscato, but it still just don't total up. And so, what are we doing? Who is the watchdog for the liquor industry to make sure that they build parks in our schools or communities, that they're building schools for us, they're giving scholarships to our children, that they're supporting Black Lives Matter movement, they're supporting the injustices that's going on. Who's the watchdog for those organizations? The one organization that comes to mind is an organization called Causing a Stir. Have you heard of them before?
Yeah. I know causing the sir. Yeah.
So are they the liaison or the organization that's supposed to be the watchdog?
Yeah,
Um,
sure. No, they have a great cause, great thing, but they're, how much can they really do? Yeah, you can bring people in, but if it's so systemic, if it's part of the culture, we can't put all the weight on causing a stir. Like each person has to do their part. We all have to sort of like bring in. We all have to be cogs in sort of this chain of change, right? So we can't just put it all on causing a stir to like we got to rally behind them and they need to be the agents of change. No, we all need to be. But when you look at these companies, these multi-billion-dollar companies, if just look at it from a business standpoint. If I have a multi-billion-dollar company and my consumer is black, and let's say that so they're going through this thing now where it's Black Lives Matter. If you don't say anything, truly, to the heart of it as a human being, it's on me whether I want to donate or not. You're not saying anything. You don't have any demands. You haven't organized anything. You haven't demanded anything of me. Like, so why should I donate any money if I don't have to, if you've never brought any issues to me?
right.
And not only that, I don't know your experience. I provide you a product, but I'm not living in your world. I didn't grow up every Friday night knocking back Hennessy in my backyard. Like, that's not what I did. My family owned the company. We produced it. It's a cognac in France. We're not hanging out on Friday nights, kicking back, to the Hennessy. You're consuming it. I don't know what your experience is like. So there's a total disconnect. How can a company help us when they don't even know what our experience is?
Right. And so I think that's where, some of these grassroots organizations, the only one I can really think of is Causing a Stir, that, seem to maybe have the ear of these liquor manufacturers. I think some of the things that Causing a Stir is doing is definitely good. I definitely don't have any issues with them. However, these organizations out here, and there's some Facebook groups, I just find that they do not want to speak directly, candidly about race relations. They want to smooth things over. And although they are allegedly maybe the watchdog, but they're still cashing checks. These organizations are giving them big money. So how much could they really say to hold them accountable and responsible when these people are writing you checks?
You mean like if they're giving them the check, then how can they really stand? Oh, okay, well, yeah, I don't know about the financial side of it, but I get what you're saying. Like if they're getting the check, then
right. And I don't know what your experience have been, Corey, but for me, I've spoken up, inside of Causing a Stir, as standing with them, as they, took off from the ground, grassroots. I was right there. But me being an advocate, a true advocate that can't be sold, purchased, or bought out, that I began to feel as if I was being blackballed for speaking up about just having true, candid race relations and not just sweeping things under the rugs uh, for a paycheck. So, what's your thoughts on you hearing what my experience has been?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm an outsider too. So, a lot of people don't. I don't know. They don't rock out with me either. So, but at the end of the day, me personally, I don't really necessarily. Not that you are, but I don't focus on like that. I just keep moving forward. I know at the end of the day, I know that I'm doing good work. I know that I'm hiring people. I know that I look back from when I started this, right? Because it just started with me. It was just me. But then when I look outside and I got six trucks running, again, before all this craziness happened, I got six trucks running. We got, hundreds of people out there, boots on the ground. So even if I didn't line up with someone, or even if we grew apart, I'm not investing any energy into any. And again, I'm not saying you're doing it, but I'm not investing any energy into anything negative, man. I want to be a part of the solution. I am not trying to. I don't want. I have been a part of the problem for so much of my life. I don't want to be a part of the problem anymore. I'm looking for solutions. And if you don't want to find the solution, then hey, listen, it was great talking to you. I wish you well. I don't wish you nothing back. I ain't talking about you behind your back. I got so much stuff that I got to take care of on my plate because I'm trying to bring everybody in. I'm trying to bring us all in. And look, Harriet Tubman, I live by that statement, man. I would have saved more people if they knew they were a slave. I can't save everybody. I can't, man.
Corey, I remember a post of yours. I'm not sure if it's a post or you told me, but you were like, at one point, my vision was only to make $100 a day. And I thought if I made $100 a day, I was doing it. I was good. I was blessed.
Yep.
And so you have been blessed over that amount of $100 a day. So
back to your point of why you're saying that though, even that, like even now when we talk about the spirit industry and holding them accountable and they need to pay, do something to show us in some monetary or exemplary fashion that they're standing with us or supporting us or some underlying movement. Yeah. We may not be looking at it big enough because, like you said, when I started, it was $100. I didn't think big enough. I only knew my capabilities of where I was at. Yeah, we should hold them accountable on a grander scale. Not just hold some Friday night visual. How do you hold their feet to the fire every day?
Right. And so, I've mentioned a few things that, liquor companies could be doing. You can help me out. So I've mentioned building parks, giving scholarships away to our children. What are some of the things like people will be asking and keeping it perspective to the conversation at hand in the midst of the unrest that's happening in America? What could America liquor companies be doing to support this movement?
Jay, listen, man, you have done events. I've done events. I have been to events where companies have stroked checks for $75,000 to bring in plants and decor and lights and food. So why can't they do the same thing? And let's open up a discussion. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a panel discussion and let's figure out, because look, sitting here on the Zoom, you and I aren't gonna figure it out. We need more minds, more brains, more energy, people that are way smarter than me to figure this thing out, right? So why can't the same liquor company that would host a pool party, right, or host some foam party, because that's what they do, right? They host the donut toss or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because they come up with these crazy ideas.
Boxing.
Why can't we take that same energy and it probably won't even cost anything, right? Because we got the connections.
Right.
We got the connections and host an open dialogue, a town hall meeting of us to figure out what
we mentioned Cause and the Stir, but another organization that comes very close to Cause and Stir and that's probably actually bigger is Tales of the Cocktail. Do you think that, for those that don't know, because my watchers are consumers, they're not necessarily liquor enthusiasts, Tales of the Cocktail is the best way of describing it as the world's largest bartending conference that happens every year in New Orleans, usually in July, mid to end July. And so it brings in probably more than 10,000 bartenders from around the world. And if you're just tuning in, this is the 108th episode of the 100 Proof Show, and we are discussing, do liquor manufacturers have a corporate social responsibility to be involved in the unrest that's happening here in America? Tonight's sponsor is Bombay Vodka, which is a Black owned liquor manufacturer out of Atlanta, Georgia. Please go and ask for Bum-Aid Vodka. It's lemonade infused vodka. But Corey, let's get back to Tales of the Cocktail. What's your thoughts? Do they hold any corporate social responsibility to, since they gather bartenders from around the world already? And I've challenged Tales of the Cocktail in many open letters that why can't we have a discussion on diversity, on race relations, on the disparity of no Black executives in these liquor companies? What's your thoughts on Tales of the Cocktail and their role in all of this?
Well, I think, I haven't gone to the last, I don't know, two. Did I go last year? I can't remember. I don't think I went last year. Can't remember. But I think I don't think that they know how big they really could be, because they've grown, they've grassrooted that to what it is now. And I don't think they understand that if they could bring in more people, that they could go bigger. I think they're fine with what they built. I think they're comfortable with who they are. And I think to them, if you start bringing in other things and other fashions, other cultures, that goes down a road that they're not comfortable with. I don't think they want to go down that road. I don't think they want inclusion.
No, and so here's some of the things I've challenged Tales of the Cocktail with. They host a plethora of events. For those of you that don't know, my guess is going to say minimum a dozen events a day. It's probably far more and far greater than a dozen a day.
Look, they're hosting events, and then the side off events are probably another.
Right. But here's the point I'm making that I pointed out to Tales of the Cocktail owners and founders, the new owners that is, how many of these are at Black venues, and pointed out Black venues right there in the corridor that you are not giving business to. Who are your advertisers? Are you how much money are you spending on advertising, and how many of those advertisers are Black owned companies? It's zero. It's right. Zero. I already know the answer. As a journalist, I've already done my homework to know it's zero. So
then Jay, then that's on our part, like that's on us. So if you choose to, knowing that information, you know that, mm-hmm. And then moving forward, if you choose to spend your dollar with people that don't reciprocate that dollar within your community, that's on you. I'm not pointing to you. That's on us. That's on us. If we keep attending that and we keep giving our money to that, because I always tell everybody, man, look, America, we talk about black and white, America's color is green. Where are you moving your money? How is your money moving? Because like Tales of the Cocktail, they're generating millions of dollars, man. It ain't just a party going on. There's money being exchanged out there. And years ago, I kicked around the idea of like, we come down here, it's great, but we can have our own thing. We can still come down here. We can still come down here, be a part of it. But like all these parties that are happening, we can just have our own party too.
Right.
And it's hard for us to come together, man. I don't know what it is about us.
Yeah, and it's funny because you say that in a perspective, it's hard for us to come together that's already in the industry. So we have a scope of what's going on.
Yeah, we see it. We know what's happening.
We know what's happening, but we still support the beast. The average consumer,
almighty dollar, man. You're getting that check. You're getting that sponsorship. You got that title, man. You got that. I'm the brand ambassador of whatever. I'm the regional director.
And that sounds good. That I'm ambassador. I'm marketing manager. I become maybe the face of a brand and may throw me on a commercial or a flyer. And
or your friends with the whatever brand, and it's a family-owned distillery, and you're cool with the nephew or the son, and you get into all the party. Yeah, access, man.
But
Access.
what does that say about us? What immediately comes to my mind, are we that shallow that we sell ourselves for the bigger picture? Imagine if Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or Harriet Tubman had done that, because I'm sure they had opportunities and offers to cave in, and to turn the other cheek, but they stuck with the fight. So
the question lends itself is, so at this point in time, who's gonna make that sacrifice? Who's willing to step out there and champion? Jay Wesley. Jay Wesley is willing to champion.
I mean, I've done it. It's got me blackballed, and so it to that point, it may not just be I just don't know how to play the game. I honestly can say that I just don't know how to play the game. But
I never got in the game, so I don't know. I didn't even get invited to the game, so I don't know.
Well, I got invited to the table when they created the diversity council. And I don't want to go into too many details, but I was quickly shown away from the table.
Well, look, there's a couple of things, right? So at the end of the day, just as a man, as a businessman, as a black man in America, right? Anytime you feel like somebody's holding you down and oppressing you and standing on your back, stand up. Stand up, get them off your back, right? Get them off your back. If you don't get it, so what I did was like Tyler Perry. I was never, seriously, I'm not joking. Nobody invited me to anything. They didn't invite me, right? So they didn't invite me to the table. Guess what I did? I built my own table.
Absolutely.
And that,
Yep. No, I definitely understand. So as we get ready to chime off in the next 10 minutes, for consumers out there, because this is a consumer-driven show, because I'm a black ball in the spirits industry, I don't have a lot of enthusiasts watching my show, but I have thousands of consumers that watch my show. What would you tell a consumer of what they can do in regards to holding liquor companies responsible?
I think we're in a climate now, especially now. I think we're in a climate now where, everybody's antennas are up. Everyone's sort of paying attention and everyone's listening. So, you kind of want to know where your money's going. Like, who are you backing? So, so you're telling me that if, let's say I have a certain political view, right? Let's say I love Trump. And if I'm buying Yuengling, I mean, this is documented. You can research it. If I'm buying Yuengling, I know that Yuengling has donated money to Trump. So I'm going to keep buying more Yuengling because that's my political view. Now, if I'm on the other side of that coin and I just found out, like I did, that Yuengling was supporting Trump and I don't believe in what Trump is going, then why would I give my hard-earned money to that company when there are so many other companies out here,
right,
that are doing good work, that are, pick a cause, and I guarantee you there's a liquor company out there that's doing it. You want to plant trees in the Amazon, there's a liquor company that's doing it. You want to give water to third world countries, there's a liquor company out here that's donating water. So I think the consumer.
But answer this, Corey, is there a liquor company out there that's contributing to the Black Lives Matter?
I don't think so, brother. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But why? Why aren't they? And I'm going to start with answering part of that question. There is no one that's holding them responsible from the consumer end of things, or the enthusiast ends of things, because the enthusiast ends of things are your Cause in a Stir organization, Tales of the Cocktail organization that could hold liquor manufacturers responsible. They are not. And so there is no NAACP from the consumer end or the enthusiast end that has the perspective of the Black interest in mind, because, I think Cause in a Stir started with that in mind, but I think they've blossomed to just be blended for just overall rightness versus keeping their focus on the disparities of what's happening to Black people in the industry, which was their focus.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But I also, when you're dealing with liquor and alcohol and spirits, that's already a dicey game. They're kind of like, do you really want to, like, if I had a movement about injustice and equality, do I really want to be like sponsored by Hennessy? Like, do I really want to come in and be like, we got this great hood cognac, drink your Remy.
There's ways of doing it.
Stop
These
injustice.
companies can slide that money just like they may slide it to Trump. They can slide it into these organizations unannounced and saying that we cannot attach our name to it, but we support it. When you do some other things down the line, slap our name on that stuff.
Jay, it's kind of like our grandparents told us, man. Like your grandmother told you, when you do something, you got to be 5 times better at it, man. It's not just, I don't think it's just as easy as just taking a donation, or even, like I said, setting up a panel. You got to work that thing. You got to have a plan A, B, C, D, E. You got to work that all the way down the alphabet. I don't think we can just say that, we can just take a donation. I don't think it's that easy for us. But we've never had anything easy. Like, it's never been easy.
Right. Again, but we have to make a way to hold these liquor companies to be corporate socially responsible. And who is responsible for doing that? First of all, and secondly, should they have an inner house for corporate social responsibility that's vigilant and sensitive to what's going on in America? Absolutely. To say that we need to respond to that. And seeing that this is a Black Lives Matter movement, or this is a racial movement with Black people, Black and brown people, we need to hire some experts, as you mentioned earlier in the show, who knows how to do that. So, Corey, give the people your last thoughts as we get ready to chime out.
Well, I appreciate you for allowing me to come on here and speak. I hope what people are doing in this time is learning and listening. And then when we come out of this, I don't even know what normal is going to look like after this, right? We don't know what the new norm is going to be. But hopefully, what should have been happening over these last 8 to 9 weeks is you should be researching. Just don't go off just any blurb. Take your time, research some things. Google is your friend. YouTube University is your friend. So if you're dealing with a certain company, and you don't, do you know who runs it? Do you know what they believe in? Do you know what they stand for? Go look it up. And if you can't look it up, old school, pick up a phone, call. You'd be surprised at how far you can go up a chain just by a couple phone calls. So, just get out there and get your hands dirty, man. Roll your sleeves up and get in the fight.
Is this a fight for the enthusiasts like you and I that's kind of in the industry, or is it a consumer fight?
It's a fight on all fronts. It's not just the consumer, it's everybody. And liquor, so, one of the jokes that I say about our business is when times are good, people are drinking. When times are bad, they drink more. Liquor's never, this industry ain't going nowhere. Death, taxes, alcohol. They ain't going nowhere, man.
Right, absolutely. So, Corey, tell the people what you have going on, where they can find you at, your social media, any upcoming events. What's happening with you?
So everything is Sugar Rim Bar. You can definitely find us on Sugar Rim Bar and everything. And we haven't had any events ever since the COVID thing that sort of shut us down. Things are starting to come back online now. People are making inquiries for like September, October, definitely for next year. But one of the things that I was doing while this was happening was we started doubling down on our, I have a nonprofit, it's called Change for Good. And really at the end of the day, if I could do change for good and still generate money, but I can't as a nonprofit, but giving back has been the greatest thing for us. Raising money, raising awareness, literally getting out every day, feeding people, clothing people, because right now people, even though I'm good, I'm okay. There are so many people out there right now, man, that are just they having a tough time, bro. They're having a tough time, and money is stacking up. Their bills, not the money, but their expenses are stacking up. And if there's anybody that needs any help, Change for Good. So it's C4-G. You can Google it and find me. Inbox me, message me, send me anything. I'll try to help out any way that I can with anybody I can. And I don't care where you are because we got technology.
Well, two things I want to end with, Corey, with all of my viewers knowing is that everything that this man is saying is true. You know, we've met someone in Atlanta, we've hung out. I mean, not in Atlanta, but we were in New Orleans for Tales of the Cocktail. We met a disabled person, handicapped person, and you know, I've kept in contact, and that person needed some help.
Was it George? What was his name? Was it George?
Corey. What's that?
Was his name George? What was his name?
I cannot remember his name.
I think it was George. Go ahead.
But we kept in contact for a long time up until recent. But at the end of the day, you know, I called Corey. He's like, look, bro, I'm trying to raise some money for this man. You know, he's stuck on the highway. That was part of the story. And, you know, Corey came out his pockets like, what you need, blah, 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 and made it happen. And so you don't find many brothers out here like that. So that's one thing. The second thing, Corey, I just want you to know that I look up to you, the way you run your business, operate. You know, I'm always watching you. I side eye you. Side eye in the sense of like I'm watching your moves so I can take it and bring it to part of my business. So I appreciate you giving me a model and an example of what exemplary bartending service should look like.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. I'm just, you know, I always hear my grandmother, man. You treat people the way you want to be treated, and you know, you put out good, you get back good.
All right, there it is. You heard it right here on the 100 Proof Show every single Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tonight was our 108th episode as we discuss, should the liquor manufacturers be held accountable and responsible for the movement that's happening right now in America? Be sure to tune in next Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Facebook Live, because they can have me blocked now. We're on YouTube, but we're going to take care of that. I will see you then. Thank you for tuning in. Keep it 100. You still sipping, Corey, before I chime off? We're going to do a cheers. Oh, you don't got nothing left, bro.
I'm drinking the whole thing, man.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week.